Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Step Up to the Mic. This is the place for aspiring and established speakers to take the stage, deliver their talks, and bring them directly to you. Folks, today's featured speaker is a speaker, a consultant, and the creator of the Unshakable Me program. Please welcome Heidi Blackie.
Thank you. It's a cold, dark January morning. It's 2021, and I'm 52 years old. I sit at my kitchen table, staring at a blank page, a stranger to the life I once knew. Over the past 13 years, multiple chronic illnesses have quietly been stealing my life. First, my energy, my career, my relationships, and my belief in myself and my ability to heal. I close my eyes and I long for the woman that I once was, an athlete, a traveler, a whirlwind of energy and motion. It was probably too much, but at this point I would take it. I sit slumped over the table. I can't do this anymore. This isn't living. I have to try something different. In all these years, I've been searching for answers outside myself, so I shift the focus to the one piece that was missing: me. I start with a question. What am I believing about my ability to heal? I chew on it. Symptoms distract me, but I stay with it until I have an answer. What am I believing? I'm believing that I won't heal and that I'll continue to get worse because that's the trajectory I've been on. Wow. The raw truth of that answer hits hard. How can I heal if I believe I can't heal? I sit with it. And after I pull myself together, I make a vow. I make a vow to believe in myself and believe in my ability to heal, and I have no idea what that looks like. But I write the word believe in big, bold letters at the top of the page. It feels like so much more than letters on a page. It's a new beginning. And I feel like I just awoke from a long slumber. I make this commitment to believe, but the truth is I've never really believed in myself most of my life. The voice of doubt always overruled the quieter whispers of belief. I know partly how I got here. Every summer, we would clean the windows, and we had a million of them. My mom on the outside, me on the inside. Every spot, every streak was pointed out and had to be redone and redone until it was perfect. These windows were a reflection of the expectations of perfection that I could never meet. As the youngest of three, I struggled to get B's and C's as my sisters graced the honor roll. I felt the shame of sitting at the dummy group, the dummy table outside of my 7th grade classroom while everyone else learned in the classroom. That only reinforced my feelings of not being smart enough. So I responded to that through my whole life by trying to prove myself, over-preparing, overthinking, trying to be credible, to look important. But when you put the power outside of you, what do you have? This belief feels foreign, like a new filly standing for the first time, wobbly and uncertain, but determined. I fall and rise daily, sometimes hourly, clinging to my mantra, believe, believe, like a monk reciting prayer. Every time fear and doubt told me I wouldn't heal, I blocked it with belief. I put sticky notes all over my house, believe, believe. I dove into the research on the biology of belief and the science of gratitude, attention, and intention. I created rituals every morning outside, moving, breathing, standing in gratitude in nature and with my dog. I'd come in and write in my journal every entry, a declaration of belief in myself and my ability to heal. And through the pages, I uncovered the stories and the beliefs around my illnesses. Stories that I wouldn't be able to find a doctor who could help me. Beliefs of not ever being able to work again. I found that I had created a mental prison that was just as confining as the physical prison I was already in as a result of my illnesses. Only that prison is one where I hold the key. Just as the filly gains the confidence in her balance and strength and begins to run, I feel the courage to go beyond the stories around my illnesses and confront the stories and the beliefs that have accumulated over my lifetime. Stories of not enough. Beliefs of, I couldn't do that. I went through the layers of vulnerability and the parts of me that I tried so hard to bury. Only this time, instead of meeting them with shame, I met them with the kindness I would give a friend reaching out for support. I forged a new relationship with myself, part blind date and best friend. I'm curious about what I can learn, and I meet myself with kindness and patience. This new relationship creates an ally with the deepest part of me that I call my unshakable me. It is a power that grows with every act of kindness, acceptance, and belief. It gives me the courage to break free from the prison holding me captive. I start working again. I see friends again. I start walking a little bit further each week. I create new empowered beliefs of a strong, healthy body that grow roots like seeds, growing stories of running, of skiing, of traveling. These become the new vision of my life. I begin to heal, to transform. And as I go through this process and I gain more awareness, I come to the realization these illnesses that seem to steal everything from me have become my greatest teachers. They have taught me to slow down, to think about what's most important, and to invest my time and energy in that. They have led me to a deeper connection with myself, where I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't need to prove myself to anyone. I've let go of my childhood scripts and find my voice, which I now use to help others find their unshakable me, to heal and transform their lives. This connection, in addition to so many other things that have changed in my life, has given me a sense of profound joy that makes my old life feel like a shadow of living. It's 2025. I sit at that same kitchen table, but everything's changed. The blank page brims with possibility. And the rain outside reminds me of nature's cycles of renewal. And the seeds I've sown continue to grow. Thank you.
My goodness, Heidi Blackie, everybody. Heidi, that was amazing. This is I mean, completely based on your story and everything you've had to overcome here. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's you've been through quite a bit of stuff here. There were a couple of points in your talk that I wanted to kind of bring up that hit me
Mhm.
pretty hard. You know, the first part, of course, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's I'm believing I can't heal.
Yeah.
Where does that come from in all of us, where we just simply believe that we can't do something that the body isn't supposed to do?
For me, it's rooted in so many doctors and failed treatments. And I'm a healthcare provider. I've worked in healthcare for 25 years and nobody had answers. At 10 years I was at it. I didn't have a diagnosis, I didn't have a treatment plan. I had nothing. And in that moment in my kitchen, I was alone. I had nowhere to go. I was getting worse and it's it's a lot of conditioning, especially medical care, is that we seek the answers outside of us and we forget that we have this internal capacity to heal. And it's easy to look at it in a cut and see, oh, my I'm healing, or a broken bone. But when it's something that's has such a chronicity to it and so many elements that have changed, it changes your brain. And my symptoms had me in a thought loop that wasn't serving me, that was doubt, fear, anxiety. What does this symptom mean? It means this, that, and I stayed in that. It was just this stuckness. And I think a lot of it comes from the conditioning that we can't, I'm not good at science. I couldn't go into healthcare. I had that. And my sister said, go for it anyway. What do you have to lose? And I thought, oh, okay. And that was the first time I really believed in myself when I was 23. But I think it comes from this messaging and we believe it. We believe it. And then we create the evidence, we look for the evidence to support that. And it it's only when you wake up and you question that. I had never asked myself that question in 10 years. Never. And to have the truth come through and not something else that was like, oh yeah, I can heal. I didn't think it was possible because I was so sick.
Wow, that
Yeah.
sounds brutal. You mentioned, childhood scripts and kind of tossing
Mm-hmm.
those aside. You also
Mm-hmm.
talk about the mental prisons.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that those two things kind of go hand in hand. It sounds like the mental prisons we've sort of created for ourselves.
Yes, yes. And there's a quote, Edith Eger, do you know her? She wrote The Choice. She was in Auschwitz and was pulled from a
Oh,
pile of
goodness.
dead bodies when
Sure.
Americans came into the camp. And she said the biggest prison is in your own mind, and in your pocket you hold the key. And I read that after I had discovered what I had created for myself that initially I thought was helping me, only to discover that when I flushed out the stories and the beliefs that I had around my illnesses, to realize that they served a purpose at a point, but they no longer did. And they were keeping me isolated and stuck and sick. And most of the things that we think and do have a purpose, maybe when we're young, but we keep doing it and we forget to question, is that useful in my life? And we all have prisons. I see it in my partner, and it doesn't mean I don't have any limiting beliefs, but I'm more aware of them. And it's a belief to me, and a belief of enoughness. After you've had 50 years of not enoughness, it doesn't just happen. It's like a living being
Yeah,
that I nurture every single day. And I'm aware of what I'm thinking and what I'm saying to myself. And I'm aware of the intention. If I want to say, no, I don't want to do that, is it because of fear? And if it is, then I need to do it. Or if it's not aligned with me, then don't do it. But I but I'm much more aware now in how I want to relate to that, and choosing to co-create my life, which we all are. It's
oh yeah,
just whether we're aware of it and if we want to be in the driver's seat or if we want to be reactionary versus proaction.
sure, sure.
Hmm.
50 years of not enoughness. That's
Hmm.
that should be on a t-shirt, I think. You should be wearing that on stage with you.
I'm a recovering not enoughness.
That's
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
Hmm.
The and again, and not to keep harping on this, but it seems as
Hmm.
though this sort of uh, mental prison is
Hmm.
granted there's some childhood strings to it, and growing up we get those things handed to us, but it also
Hmm.
seems like society kind of plays a role in terms of the burnout and the expectation. And like you said, I didn't listen to my body and stop and take care of myself because I needed to
Hmm.
keep going. I had to prove myself.
Hmm.
How, in your experience, not only with yourself but the people that you're helping, how have you seen all that kind of play together?
It really takes awareness because we live so much on autopilot and we don't realize it. What we see is exactly what you just said. We see burnout and lack of fulfillment and depletion and exhaustion. We don't think, oh, it's because I'm living out some childhood script. It takes waking up and being aware of how you're living in order to see, mm, where did that come from? I want to question that. And if you and you have to slow down. I didn't for some I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready until the universe made a hard stop. But it takes that to really get to that point where I can't stand it anymore. I need to do something different. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. How do I start? And that's that awareness piece of really seeing what's here.
Sure.
Because we've got to work through letting that go in order to create the space for possibility, whatever that is. And a lot of people don't think about the possibility. They think about the restrictions.
Sure.
And you have to look at where you are before you can say, I'm going there. I don't know where there is, but yeah.
I love the answer though. You're so you figured out how to sort of heal yourself, how to start working on yourself, and you've put it into a program called Unshakable Me. I
Mhm.
love this whole thing you're putting together. As I was reading about this and doing some research, it looks as though you are the living proof of concept for the program working. And I love when
Mhm.
people lead from that position. Tell us about your program. We heard a little bit about where it came from, but a little bit about what it consists of, maybe, and what you can do for other folks who are sitting here nodding their heads like you and I are right now, going, mm-hmm, yep,
Yeah, I never set out with any intention to create anything. It this evolved over years of, like I said, in my talk, I dove into the research, and I'm a super nerd, and I love research. So I tried a lot of things I had already been doing with clients and patients that were helpful. But I this connection with myself and what I call my unshakable me was this really unexpected gem of this whole experience. And I've never felt such an inner strength and a connection, not just to myself, but to the whole of everything. And I felt like I want to shout this from the mountaintops. I want everyone to feel this way because it feels so good. It feels right. And I feel like anything's possible. But I didn't know what that looked like. And I was walking and I got this like, you're going to build a program called Unshakable Me. Okay. So I fleshed out the things that were really the most pivotal, what I call the pillars that I that built this foundation. And the first is and I have 8 modules. The first is stories, looking at your stories. Then we move to the beliefs that are underlying those stories. Acceptance, big piece because you can't rewrite your stories and change your beliefs if you don't accept yourself. And acceptance is very muddy. It's not black and white. There's a lot to it. So that's important. Then we have to create a vision. I was creating a vision of more of the same until I went through this process. And the vision doesn't have to be grounded in reality. But the amazing thing when you create a vision and you inhabit it is you actually change your biology. When you are in it, not watching it on a movie, but you are inhabiting all of that, you change and it feels great in the moment and it helps with healing and rewiring your brain. Choice is another piece. I felt like I had no choices. I felt like my illnesses were making all the choices for me, which is another way of saying I felt like a victim.
Hmm.
And it's easy to feel like a victim because everything out there reinforces it. So realizing that you are making every day you're making hundreds if not thousands of choices, even in the thoughts that you follow or you don't follow, and the words that you say to yourself. And then there's attention, which everyone is vying for our attention. And I would say that is probably the most valuable currency that we all have, is to really inventory your attention. Where is it going and how does it make you feel? And how do you shift that toward your vision? Because there are choices you can make many times a day that move you that way. And then intention is kind of the last piece. And that's a proactive stance to start your day every day. What is my intention or a task or anything? That puts you kind of in the driver's seat of what you want to create. And then at the end, we have kind of the last module puts everything together. And there are live Q&As. There's a whole community, and there are integrative action steps so that it's not just concepts and then you're left to kind of figure it out. So there's a lot of integration, and most of the things that inform the program are evidence-based. A lot of neuroplasticity, somatics, nervous system retraining and regulation. So it's everything that was my journey toward healing and transformation. My life is 180 to what it was before. It's so much better. Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Hmm.
I do have one more question. Before I get there, though, I want to make sure we get your contact information out to everybody. How can they
Uh-huh.
find out about you, your program, reach
Yeah.
out to you personally, however you want to do it?
UnshakableMe.com has all of my links to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Also has a contact page. You can book a free call with me on Zoom to see where you are and if it would even be something that might be a good fit for you. So lots of ways to contact me.
Perfect. If I'm somebody sitting at home and I'm listening to you and I talk and I'm hearing everything that Heidi has to tell me right now, and I'm thinking, man, this sounds just like what I'm going through. What's
Mhm.
a decent first step for me to try to start uh, taking my life back?
I want to say 2 steps, but I'll
Okay, go
start
ahead.
with the first one. I think doing something kind to yourself every day, because that builds number one, acceptance, which is huge. And it also helps you to kind of step into the power that you have. So we have a lot of narratives of that break us down, but when you give yourself kindness, it actually changes your nervous system. It helps you get into more of your thinking brain, and it helps work on that relationship with yourself, which a lot of people don't think about. Oh, I'd like to improve my relationship with myself. That's not how we think it's solved. The second thing is awareness, because you can't make any change that you're not aware of. So, awareness of what you're thinking about, where you're paying attention to, and how it makes you feel. And a lot of us live from the neck up. So we're thinking, 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 and we're detached from the messages. My body was giving me information all the time. I just said, nope, not going to listen until I had to. So I think the more we can kind of have that awareness and meet what we are aware of with kindness, doesn't mean you're staying there. You can still want to improve and change, but it's you're never going to go wrong with doing something kind for yourself every day. It's only going to strengthen you in every part of your life.
Thank you so much for that. It's a great way to wrap us up. Absolutely great way to wrap us up. Speaker, consultant, creator of the Unshakable Me program, Heidi Blackie. Heidi, thank you for coming on, for sharing everything you have, and good luck in your own journey as you move forward. It was great having you on here today.
Thank you so much, Rory. It was great to be here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, folks. This has been another spectacular episode of Step Up to the Mic. If you are an aspiring or current speaker and you want to bring your talk to the masses, message us today. Never stop talking and let us help you to step up to the mic.